I was the entertainment industry's #1 wicked woman. 3 years after my death, the online denouncements and curses have not stopped. If someone trips while walking or a company's stock price falls, they blame it on my restless spirit. To put his mistress's mind at ease, Jinnian invited a master to physically super-deliver my soul. The group arrived at the villa where I lived, only to see walls covered in fresh blood and hundreds of photos of me being intimate with different men. Jinnian covered Yuanyuan's eyes, a look of disgust on his face. Mo is truly a pervert, debauched before death and still restless after. Marrying her is a stain I can never wash away. My parents also disliked that I wasn't as gentle and sensible as Yuanyuan, saying I wasn't worthy of being their daughter. But they didn't know the truth. 3 years ago, it was my kind and sensible sister who brutally tortured and murdered me in this villa. Now, my broken and incomplete corpse is buried right beneath Jinnian's feet. The few people crossed the living room and arrived at my room. There were no scandalous photos here, only the walls covered in words written in blood. The writing was blurred from the passage of time. But the eerie scene still sent chills down people's spines. To gain followers, Yuanyuan seized the opportunity to start a live stream. The title, Super Delivering Mo, instantly drew tens of thousands of people into the live stream. The scrolling comments were filled with non-stop curses. Mo doesn't deserve to be super delivered? That kind of vicious wretch should go to hell. 666, I even have Mo's intimate videos with different men. Press 1 and I'll share them for free. Just looking at that tramp is dirtying my eyes. I only want to see the beautiful Yuanyuan. Ah, isn't that Master Shukong? Guzong was actually able to invite this reclusive expert. This time, the great tramp Su will be utterly annihilated. Facing the barrage of comments, the master paid no mind. He just frowned and looked around. The resentment here is too deep, ordinary objects likely can't suppress it. To make Mo's soul scatter, we must open the coffin, take out her corpse, crush the bones, and suppress them with a blood talisman. Such a sinister method made even the decisive master hesitate. Jinnian, however, replied without a second thought, "Do as you say. Forget opening the coffin and taking the corpse. If it can let Yuanyuan sleep well, what does it matter if Mo is torn into 10,000 pieces?" Upon hearing this, the comments section was full of agreement. Everyone said that a wicked person like me deserved to be torn into pieces. Jinnian immediately called 2 bodyguards and told them to dig up the coffin from the back hill. Before they could walk out the villa door, Yuanyuan, who had been hiding behind him, suddenly reached out to stop them. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she gently shook her head. But she deliberately aimed the camera at those scandalous photos. Jinnian, Mo is my biological sister, after all. Even if she did wrong things, that was when she was alive. Let the dead rest in peace, let's not disturb her afterlife. Jinnian smiled gently. He lightly patted Yuanyuan's hand. "You are always so kind. But I will never give Mo a second chance to hurt you. I was able to lock her in a mental hospital back then, and today I can make her soul scatter." Yuanyuan nodded, leaning softly into Jinnian's arms. But a persistent unease lingered in her eyes. The master set up the altar and began the ritual. The young bodyguards who went to the back hill to dig up the corpse were complaining bitterly. One of them violently stomped on the gravestone twice. A lingering spirit, still restless 3 years after death. She kept a dozen young lovers in this villa for her own pleasure, and now we suffer because of it. Exactly, look at those photos pasted on the villa walls, she was such a tramp. It's a pity the CEO was so good to her, only to be constantly cheated on. The grave was quickly half-dug, revealing a crooked, tattered coffin. The bodyguards all spat in disgust. They dragged and kicked the coffin all the way to Jinnian. Perhaps 3 years had somewhat diminished the hatred. A hint of confusion inexplicably flashed across Jinnian's heart. But at this moment, a bodyguard suddenly shouted, "Guzong, there is an unformed fetus here. Judging by the bone age, it's about 3 or 4 months old." Jinnian's face instantly darkened. The flirtatious wretch, she even got pregnant. Throw the bastard child away and smash this coffin. My long-dead heart suddenly ached. Watching all this, I silently screamed, "Jinnian, don't do this, that's your child." Jinnian couldn't hear my voice. He just stared intently at the coffin. Because he noticed that what was inside was not my remains, but a human face preserved in formaldehyde. Everyone present gasped in astonishment. The live stream was also full of speculation. What's going on? Where are Mo's remains? Why is there only a face left? I swear this must be a prop. Could Mo have faked her death? It's possible. Mo was a major celebrity. It wouldn't be hard to get a props team to custom make a human skin mask. But why would she fake her death? Is it to harm goddess Yuanyuan? Seeing this message, Jinnian's eyes turned cold. Suemo, I thought you had learned your lesson in the mental hospital all those years, but I never expected you to get worse, faking your death to harm people. Just you wait, if I find you, I will make sure you die a terrible death. The livestream audience was outraged, but only the master sensed something amiss. He pulled out his compass and began searching around. Before he could finish chanting the spell, he suddenly dropped to his knees with a thud. Such a strong resentment. He stared at the pattern on the coffin, attempting to open his spiritual eye to glimpse the hidden secret. But in less than 3 seconds, a few drops of bloody tears slowly trickled from his eyes. The master covered his eyes in pain. Mother-son separation array. What kind of deep-seated hatred could drive someone to cast such a vicious array? He slapped a talisman on his head and quickly swung his peachwood sword a few times. In an instant, a strong wind arose. Dried jasmine petals flew everywhere. A roll of videotape, along with the petals, dropped out of the cabinet. Written on it was, Sumo's memoirs. Before the master could speak, Jinnian's heart suddenly sank. He had invested in that film. The content was simple, a record of the two of them meeting and falling in love. It was never successfully released because the couple divorced. This film seemed to stir Jinnian's most tender memories, and his expression became very complex. After a brief moment of hesitation, he personally pressed the play button. With a drip sound, a familiar face appeared on the screen. But the content was not the sweet daily life Jinnian had imagined. In the video, I greeted the camera and slowly said, "I think I'm dying. This recording will be my last words, I suppose. Jinnian, I hope you see this." October 7th, sunny. Today marks the 19th day since I was locked in the mental hospital. It's also Yuanyuan's birthday. The fireworks Jinnian set off for her celebration happened to light up the sky above the mental hospital. Speaking of which, I'm so jealous of her. She is the little princess cherished by everyone, and I am just her blood bank. My parents gave birth to me just to use my umbilical cord blood to save Yuanyuan's life. I still remember the day they were going to remove my kidney. It was Jinnian who rushed into the hospital and rescued me. He said he would protect me with his life. Who would have thought that after all these years and twists and turns, he would be the one to personally send me to the mental hospital. On the first day I arrived, they damaged one of my kidneys and 3 ribs. They said Jinnian ordered it to teach me a lesson. Jinnian, I've learned my lesson. I have also repaid the life I owed you. From now on, we are even. I floated in front of the TV, my heart filled with mixed emotions. Before Yuanyuan appeared, Jinnian was very kind to me. He would stand up and protect me when Yuanyuan bullied me. He would secretly bring me food when my parents locked me in the basement. He was the one who helped me through the hardest time in my life. And he was also the one who betrayed our love and personally sent me to hell. Jinnian stared at the image on the television, sneering. We're even. Suemo, don't think that pretending and shedding a few tears will make me forgive you. The sins you've committed can never be repaid in this lifetime. Yuanyuan rushed forward to comfort him. Everyone in the live stream was praising Yuanyuan's beauty and kindness. No one noticed that her gaze was fixed intently on a pair of severed arms in the corner. Don't blame my sister, she was just momentarily confused and did something wrong. Actually, it's all my fault. If I hadn't told you about Sumo's infidelity, none of these things would have happened. Jinnian, who had been somewhat conflicted, now had nothing but endless disgust in his eyes after hearing her words. My parents also looked disdainful after hearing this. That dead girl Suemo has been hooking up with men since she was little. Once she even came home and said the hospital doctor molested her. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. If she hadn't been so loose herself, how would she have invited so much trouble? The live stream was filled with mockery. Everyone said I was inherently wanton. And that the only reason I became a star was by sleeping my way to the top. I heard Suemo slept with everyone in the crew, including the makeup artist, just to steal Yuanyuan's role. Poor goddess Yuanyuan, she was bullied by that tramp Suemo for so many years. Everyone was righteously indignant, but the master's expression was grave. Without waiting for Jinnian to speak, he played the next video segment. October 20th. I'm in so much pain. It turns out people truly have no dignity here. Ever since Yuanyuan visited me, everyone here started to bully me. They poured leftovers into the toilet and made me lick them up. They used razor blades to carve the word tramp over and over again on my body. I struggled desperately. So they tied me to an electric chair until I lost control of my bladder before they let me go. They gathered around me and laughed. They said I looked just like a dog twitching on the ground, and they even filmed it and uploaded the video online. Jinnian, did you see the video? When you saw all of this, what did you think? October 21st. That video went viral. They started tormenting me even worse. I don't know who put me up for auction on the dark web. From the initial 10,000 yuan per time, it eventually dropped to 1 yuan for unlimited times. One man after another, wearing masks, drilled into my room, enjoying my fear and pain. They said Gu Jinnian ordered all of this. Gu Zong said you can't live without men, so he told us to serve you well. My ribs were broken and I had no strength. I couldn't fight back. But I'm so scared. They always make me remember that night. Gu Jinnian, why don't you believe what I said? Why did you let them torment me like this? October 22nd. It hurts so much. It turns out there are so many ways to torture people in a mental hospital. Gu Jinnian, you big liar. When you married me, you clearly said you would treat me well for a lifetime, never fail me, never betray me. Gu Jinnian, life here is so difficult. They thought I wasn't being obedient, so they tied my legs apart to the bed. They were afraid I would bite, so they pulled out my teeth. Sometimes I wish they would just beat me to death, at least that would be a release. January 17th. It's snowing. Such clean snow. They threw me naked into the snow and tortured me day and night. My lower leg is broken, and my limbs are frozen numb. I don't think I'll survive this winter. February 15th. I heard Gu Jinnian and Su Yuanyuan are engaged, and he is coming to take me home. The people here were afraid I would talk, so they broke 10 of my fingers and forced me to drink a potion that made me mute. Actually, they didn't need to do any of this. Because I didn't want to live anymore. Gu Jinnian, I hurt so much. Please, come and kill me. Wind blew and leaves fell, scattering withered flowers everywhere. The enormous villa was shrouded in silence. Only the sound of Gu Jinnian's faint inhale could be heard. He looked at Su Yuanyuan, his voice carrying an almost imperceptible tremor. What the video says, is it all true? Tears instantly welled up in Su Yuanyuan's eyes. Jinnian, do you really think I'm such a despicable person? Su Mo is my biological sister. I have loved and cherished her since we were children. How could I treat her like this? If you don't believe me, you can check the mental hospital's surveillance. My father looked at Su Yuanyuan with a pained expression. That's right, Jinnian, all of this must be Su Mo's trick. She's an actress, acting and lying come easily to her. You mustn't believe her. My mother nodded repeatedly. She even brought up embarrassing stories about me as a child, like not getting enough to eat and stealing Su Yuanyuan's leftovers. In the live stream, however, some voices of doubt began to appear. I think I've seen these videos on the dark web, but the person in the video was so skinny, you couldn't tell if it was Su Mo. I've seen them too. That woman had a red birthmark on her chest, but in the second video, that birthmark was cut off with a knife, probably so people wouldn't recognize her. Could it really be Su Mo? If it is, that's too pitiful. Watching these comments, I gently sighed. To earn money to support Gu Jinnian's startup, I took on advertisements and filmed day and night. But Gu Jinnian felt I wasn't paying enough attention to him and started having an affair with Su Yuanyuan. When I discovered them, we had a huge fight. Su Yuanyuan came over to taunt me. She said she was pregnant with Gu Jinnian's child and used the opportunity to steal my lead actress role in the drama. I wanted to ignore her, but she secretly jumped from upstairs while filming. Everyone was convinced I had done it. When I tried to explain, Su Yuanyuan secretly drugged my water and filmed me in bed with other men. Once this matter was exposed, my reputation was ruined and my future was destroyed. The long-term cyberbullying led me to develop severe depression. I wanted to call the police to seek justice, but my parents forged a psychiatric report, saying I was mentally ill. Gu Jinnian refused to listen to any explanation and personally sent me to the mental hospital. Since then, my nightmare began. Gu Jinnian also saw the comments in the live stream. He seemed to recall that during our intimate moments, he loved to kiss the red birthmark on my chest. But thinking of the past incidents, he kept a cold face and pressed the play button again. The background of the recording had changed from the mental hospital to the villa. That familiar face was gone. There was only a blurry patch of flesh and blood. Furthermore, my legs were twisted and deformed, and my mouth couldn't speak. I could only make ah, ah, ah sounds. The me in the video was no longer human, but a terrifying monster. That monster struggled constantly on the ground. Using my bleeding, broken fingers, I wrote sentence after sentence on the wall. Su Yuanyuan is going to kill me. Su Yuanyuan is going to kill me. Su Yuanyuan is going to kill me. The content stopped abruptly here. Gu Jinnian looked up in disbelief. The bloodstains on the wall and the writing in the video overlapped bit by bit. He stumbled a few steps, murmuring, "Impossible, absolutely impossible. Su Mo is best at acting. This must all be a show she directed herself." The master shook his head. "I always felt there was something strange about this villa, and now I finally understand." He looked around and turned the compass. He said softly, The key to forming the soul-devouring array is to make the deceased suffer intensely before death and die in the most painful way. Mother and child separation, amputation, and abuse. It truly is the most vicious technique in the world. Listening to the master's words, Jinnian's face grew paler and paler. What nonsense are you talking about? What soul-devouring array? Suemo isn't dead at all. It's all fake. It's a play she staged herself because she's jealous of Yuanyuan. The master seemed not to hear him. He continued to calculate. The arms are in the corner, the legs are in the well, all that's missing is the head and torso. If I find the head and torso, I can restore the truth of what happened back then and completely dispel the resentment here. The needle on the compass spun faster and faster, and with a crack sound, a fissure appeared on it. The master's body swayed, but his eyes became even more determined. I've calculated it. It's in the southwest direction. The instant he finished speaking, a strong wind arose. He stared intently at the garden, his voice trembling. Sumo's head is buried under that jasmine flower. As soon as he said this, the live stream instantly exploded. Just as Jinnian was about to go and see for himself, Yuanyuan suddenly cried out in surprise. Jinnian, Suemo isn't dead, I received a text message from her. Jinnian immediately stopped and turned to look at Yuanyuan. Without waiting for Yuanyuan to continue, he snatched her phone and started scrolling through it. Dozens of consecutive texts, all filled with curses. Jinnian's face gradually darkened. Yuanyuan stammered, Jinnian, don't blame Suemo. She must have had a very difficult time during the years she faked her death, which is why she put on this act. I sighed helplessly. After being together for so many years, Jinnian couldn't even distinguish the tone of my voice. The things Yuanyuan received in those texts were not things I would say. But the favoritism in his heart led him to believe her unconditionally. The curses in the live stream grew fiercer. I just shed a couple of tears for Suemo, I never thought it was all fake. I think this so-called master is a liar, Suemo called, nothing he says is true. Don't talk nonsense, people who practice cultivation can't lie. Master Shukong has profound Taoist magic, how could he help Suemo lie? I think Yuanyuan is the one who's not a good person. I don't believe it. How could Goddess Yuanyuan, such a kind person, do these things? The master ignored all the criticism. He quickly stepped forward and dug away the soil beneath the tree with his hands. The soil was slowly turned over. The truth, buried for 3 years, finally emerged. The master stiffly turned around and presented a wine jar to Jinnian. After Suemo was made into a human jars, she did not die immediately. She suffered for 7 days and 7 nights, and on the last day, with her last breath, she was buried alive beneath the flowers. Guzong, stop deceiving yourself. Open your eyes and take a good look. Inside the wine jar was a torso without limbs and a head without a face. Jinnian's handsome eyes were filled with various complex emotions. He took a few steps forward, but immediately turned his head away. It's a pile of props for acting, what's there to look at? Suemo is so strong-willed, how could she be bullied like this? It must all be fake. Yuanyuan stepped forward to block Jinnian's view, looking utterly frail. Jinnian, I'm so scared. I forgave Suemo for what happened 3 years ago, so why is she still unwilling to let me go? Why does she have to stage this grand play? Does she have to drive me to death to be happy? Hearing this, my parents were heartbroken. They fueled the fire by enumerating my faults. Suemo has been jealous of her sister since she was a child. She is very scheming, there's nothing she wouldn't do. Yuanyuan has had multiple miscarriages, maybe Suemo was secretly responsible. People always choose to believe the truth they are willing to accept. Jinnian nodded. What you said makes sense. I can't be tricked by Sumo's petty tricks anymore. Starting today, seal all the doors and windows here, and don't allow anyone to approach. I want to see what kind of trouble Suemo can still stir up. After all these years, Jinnian truly hasn't changed a bit. When he encounters something he fears, he chooses to run away. When I was framed, he didn't want to face it. He didn't listen to my explanation or investigate the truth. He just said one sentence and sent me to the mental hospital. Now he has clearly dug up my broken body, but he is afraid to accept the fact that I was tortured to death, and he still chose to escape. I sighed. Just as I felt utterly disheartened, the master suddenly stood in front of Jinnian. Guzong, the cycle of karma in the world cannot be escaped. Sumo's resentment was born because of you. You must bring this to a conclusion. At this moment, the live stream was divided into 2 factions. Some people said they should call the police for a DNA test, while others said there was no need to waste resources on a liar. The 2 sides were locked in a stalemate, arguing more and more fiercely. But Jinnian remained unmoved. He was convinced that I was jealous of Yuanyuan, faked my death, and staged this play. Just as I was losing heart, the master's voice suddenly came to my ears. Suemo, you and I are destined. Heaven decreed that I must deliver your soul. I will use a talisman to make you appear. If you have any grievances, take this opportunity to speak them. As soon as he finished speaking, a white light flashed before me. The live stream screen instantly went black. By the time I reacted, I saw Jinnian looking at me with utter astonishment. Suemo. He subconsciously tried to grab me, but his hand passed straight through my soul. The ethereal touch brought Jinnian back to his senses. His eyes gradually turned cold. Trying to trick me with a projector? Do you think I'm a fool? As he turned to leave, I couldn't help but shout. Jinnian, you truly are the most foolish bastard in the world. Jinnian's body stiffened, and Yuanyuan's face next to him turned deathly pale. I continued speaking to myself. When you were 10, you climbed the wall into my house, but accidentally fell off and crushed the flowers Yuanyuan was growing. My parents beat me severely because of it, and you were remorseful and angry, wanting to seek justice for me. When you were 12, you bought a box of Haagen-Dazs with your allowance. You couldn't bear to eat it, so you secretly hid it in your arms to bring to me. But that day, Yuanyuan locked me in the basement, and by the time I climbed out, the ice cream had melted. When you were 13, you gave me a wind chime you made yourself. Yuanyuan wanted it, so she deliberately smashed mine. I complained to you, and you said when you grew up, you would take me away and never let me be harmed. When you were 25, you became the renowned CEO Gu in the business world. You gave me a grand wedding and promised to stay with me until we were old. But after only a few months, I saw you and Yuanyuan embracing each other in our matrimonial bedroom. These bits and pieces that I had buried deep in my heart now slowly unfolded before Jinnian like a series of paintings. He also seemed to recall our beautiful past. He remembered the passionate vows we once made. He stiffly turned around, looking at me with disbelief. Suemo, is that really you? You're not dead, are you? Why haven't you come to see me all these years? My hand slowly passed through Jinnian's body. I said with a look of helplessness. I've been dead for 3 years. The master was right. I died too unjustly, and after death, my soul was sealed and suppressed. I couldn't enter the cycle of reincarnation or be reborn. I could only be trapped here. Jinnian hadn't reacted yet. Yuanyuan suddenly grabbed his arm and started crying. Jinnian, let's go home. I'm so scared. Jinnian, who was usually obedient to Yuanyuan, didn't answer this time. He stared at me until his eyes slowly turned red. Were the things in the video all true? I didn't answer Jinnian's question. I turned to the master and smiled palely. Thank you, master. In 3 years, he was the first and only person willing to clear my name. The master looked at Jinnian and me, sighing heavily. A cursed bond, indeed. Zong, whether you believe it or not, the truth is laid out before you. No amount of evasion can change the facts of what has happened. Every word the master spoke felt like a knife piercing Jinnian's heart. He opened his mouth, using nearly all his strength. Search, go and search. Find all of Sumo's remains complete and intact. Jinnian, wouldn't doing this be doubting me? Yuanyuan's eyes were brimming with tears, as if she had suffered a great grievance. My parents also chimed in, saying I was in league with the master and putting on an act. Facing all the obstacles, Jinnian seemed to hear nothing. He stood there, letting various complex emotions pound at his heart. The bodyguards, who had been watching the drama for a long time, also wanted to know the truth. They moved quickly and soon found all my severed limbs and broken arms. And someone also secretly took them away for DNA testing. The severed limbs, scattered in different corners, along with the head and torso from the wine jar, were slowly pieced together into an incomplete skeleton. Everything corresponded exactly to what the master had said. Jinnian watched the scene before him, the color draining from his face little by little. His body swayed a few times, and he almost fell to the ground. But in his heart there was still a slight, faint illusion. However, the next second a bodyguard ran over. Zong, the identification results are out. The remains here are Miss Sumo's. The cold wind howled, completely chilling Jinnian's heart. Everyone present held their breath, not daring to exhale. Jinnian froze in place. After he recovered, he continuously magnified the video, watching it over and over again. He noticed the familiar red birthmark on my chest. He noticed the GJN tattoo on my wrist. At this moment, he finally believed completely. This terrifying villa was my burial place. The words on the wall were not a mere display of mystery. They were my silent screams in desperation. Jinnian could no longer control the surging emotions within him. He clutched his chest and let out a desperate cry. Then he looked at me with immense grief. I'm sorry, Suemo, I didn't know, I really didn't know those beasts would treat you like that. I sent you to the mental hospital just to make you behave a little. I specifically instructed them to be kind to you. They said you couldn't stand the loneliness and had an accident while trying to climb over the wall to escape. I didn't expect the truth to be like this. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yuanyuan panicked and spoke up. Jinnian, don't believe her words. Regardless, Su Mo's betrayal is an undeniable fact. She has such a bad temper. Maybe she offended someone else in the hospital and was retaliated against. All of this is what she deserved. You absolutely must not believe her nonsense. Gu Jinnian frowned and looked at Su Yuanyuan. Your miscarriage, was it Su Mo's doing, or did you deliberately set up the trap? That video that night, was it real? Su Yuanyuan, I want to hear the truth from you. Su Yuanyuan glared at me viciously. But she firmly insisted that the events of that year had nothing to do with her. She looked like she had been grievously wronged. Seeing Gu Jinyan's hesitation, she quickly rushed forward and hugged Gu Jinyan's leg, repeatedly professing her love. So many years had passed, and the people involved had long been cleaned up completely. Even if one wanted to investigate, it would be difficult to find the truth right away. As long as she continued to stall, the matter would eventually be forgotten. Moreover, who would truly care about the feelings of a dead person? Looking at the tearful Su Yuanyuan, Gu Jinyan's once firm attitude slowly began to waver. I smiled helplessly. This man, who grew up with me since childhood and swore to love me for a lifetime, trusted a master he had just met more than me. But the truth was no longer so important to me. Years of torment had already drained all my spirit. I didn't have the courage to question, nor did I dare to hope for justice. I just wanted to end all this quickly and find some relief. But at this moment, the master suddenly stepped forward. Gu Zong, there is more than one videotape here. The videos they posted on the dark web back then are the best evidence. Gu Jinyan's eyes widened, and he belatedly realized. He immediately ordered people to high-price search for those old videos. This matter had already caused a huge stir online, and everyone was discussing it. My fame was simply too high. Even 3 years later, those videos were still circulating wildly online. Gu Jinyan quickly spotted Su Yuanyuan in one of the recordings. In the video, Su Yuanyuan handed a thick stack of money to the director, her tone contemptuous. Torment Su Mo properly. I want her to wish she were dead every day. If she dares to steal my man, I won't stop until she's dead. In addition to that, Su Yuanyuan's figure appeared in several videos. She proudly admired the miserable state of my torture, her face full of the pleasure of revenge. Seeing the scenes unfolding before him, Gu Jinyan's body trembled all over, and he grabbed Su Yuanyuan's neck. It was you did it. Su Yuanyuan, how could your heart be so vicious? Su Mo is your biological sister. Seeing that she could no longer pretend, Su Yuanyuan sneered a few times, revealing a ferocious look. She completely dropped her initial frail demeanor and burst into laughter. Yes, I did it all. Who told Su Mo to be so presumptuous and dare to steal what was mine? Since childhood, anything I wanted had to be mine. When I said I wanted to be Mrs. Gu, she should have obediently handed him over. That way, out of sisterly affection, I might have let her live. With a nothing-to-lose attitude, Su Yuanyuan confessed all the truth. She said the reason she got pregnant back then was that she had impersonated me and drugged Gu Jinyan. The miscarriage, the infidelity, everything was a show she directed herself. The goal was to replace me. And the reason why she had multiple miscarriages herself was because she had been promiscuous in her earlier years. The person who truly cheated on Gu Jinyan was not me. It was her. Su Yuanyuan looked at Gu Jinyan, smiling with extreme cruelty. Do you know what the most crucial part of this array is? It's the child. You're in Su Mo's flesh and blood. When you sent Su Mo to the mental hospital, she was already pregnant. I was the one who cut out the child and used the dead infant to establish this array. Gu Jinyan, you are truly too stupid. This array continuously corrodes the soul, making the spirit of the deceased suffer immensely every day. While you were intimately embracing me, your beloved woman and your longed-for child were suffering right here. Slap. Gu Jinyan slapped Su Yuanyuan across the face. His breathing was ragged, and he retreated a few steps. He finally couldn't hold it in and spat out a mouthful of blood. Wretch, I'll kill you. The enraged Gu Jinyan grabbed Su Yuanyuan's hair and smashed her head against the ground repeatedly. My parents tried to intervene but were all kicked away. Su Yuanyuan lay motionless, but the smile on her lips deepened. Finally, the master said, even if you kill her, Su Mo won't come back. Gu Jinyan's hand instantly let go. After a brief moment of daze, he finally couldn't control himself and buried his face in his hands, weeping bitterly. I was so confused. He half knelt on the ground, looking at me with a face full of pain. Tears splattered onto the ground. How did you manage to endure all those years? I couldn't remember. Long periods of pain had made me numb. I only remember that during that time my only wish was death. Jinnian, who received no response, gave a bitter smile. He took a few steps forward, held my remains in his arms, and closed his eyes in despair. Someone in the live stream had called the police earlier. When the police arrived, they were also shocked by the scene. Jinnian, contrary to his usual behavior, did not struggle or explain, but obediently went to cooperate with the investigation. The truth of what happened 3 years ago was completely exposed to the public. Yuanyuan became a vegetable. My parents were also arrested on suspicion of murder. Listening to them confess their crimes, Jinnian went from initial anger to gradual breakdown. Everything I had gone through became a lingering shadow in his heart. His mind began to wander. Even after the duration of the talisman passed, he could still see my soul and talk to me constantly every day. However, to others, he looked no different from a madman. My public image completely reversed overnight. Everyone lamented my tragic life. A group of sympathetic fans reburied me in a cemetery, praying and offering blessings for me day and night. My grave was covered with one bouquet after another of jasmine flowers. The fragrance was overwhelming. The day Jinnian was locked in the mental hospital, my soul was completely released from its bondage and could be reincarnated. The master came to bid me farewell and brought a letter from Jinnian. I didn't read it, nor did I want to know anything related to Jinnian. I only hoped that in my next life I could be born into a happy family and live a peaceful life. And never meet Jinnian again.